I want to start with Vicky Roy. If you walk down this food gully coming to Betak, you would have seen a display of photographs and a little sign that says, everyone is good at something, right? This is a website run by the India Inclusion Foundation, of which Vicky Roy has been a master photographer and storyteller. He has traveled the length and breadth of the country covering 21 disabilities, right? Vicky, would you like to share a little bit about your journey? When did it begin? And a couple of stories which actually changed your perception of what disability is.
I'm audible? Yeah.
His
So,
mic is...
this journey start in 2020 during the COVID. I'm a part of the one panel and discussions with VR Firoz. He running the India Inclusion Foundation. So during the discussions, I'm talking about my photography. Firoz bhai talking about his work on disability. So when our talk is finished, so I just asked him, Firoz bhai, मैं पैसे दे के आपकी मदद नहीं कर सकता हूँ, बट मैं अपने फोटोग्राफी से कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहूँगा. So he said, what is in your mind? So I said, maybe we will do some campaign with photography. So he said कि कितना पैसा खर्च होगा? So I said कि मैं voluntarily कर दूँगा, पैसे नहीं लूँगा. So then he called me back and he said कि देखो विक्की भाई, कोई भी बदलाव के लिए 10 साल लगता है, तो छोटी सी बदलाव के लिए तो बहुत जल्दी कोई चेंजेस नहीं आता है. तो अगर आप 10 साल का कमिटमेंट करोगे तो हम कुछ कर सकते हैं साथ में. सो देन डिस्कशन से स्टार्ट एंड हमारी टीम बनी 20-25 लोगों की एंड एवरीवन इज़ वॉलंटियर. सो माय वर्क टू गो टू द फील्ड एंड ज़्यादातर मैं रूरल इंडिया में ट्रैवल करता हूँ बिकॉज उनको अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ बहुत कम मिलते हैं.
Basically, it's all urban centric, all our work,
Yes.
right? Yes.
तो जब मैं उनके घर पे जाता हूँ और उनका फ़ोटो खींचता हूँ, तो जब मैं फ़ोटो खींच रहा था तो मेरा एक ध्यान था कि इनको किस तरीके से मैं शूट करूँ कि लोग दया की नज़रिए से नहीं देखें. क्योंकि अभी तक जो हम बड़ा हुए थे एंड कोई भी डिसेबल पर्सन का फ़ोटो देखते थे तो वो देख के थोड़ी दया आ जाती थी. तो मुझे लगा कि उसको कैसे ब्रेक किया जाए. तो मैं फिर उनके घर में जाके मैं सोचा क्यों ना इनका डिसेबिलिटी अवॉइड करके उनका डेली लाइफ शूट किया जाए. सो जैसे एक गोविंद मजुमदार की स्टोरी एग्जीबिशन में लगी हुई है,
आसाम से है.
आसाम से है.
जी, हाँ.
तो उनका घर बिल्कुल रूरल पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया में है और उनके घर के लिए मुझे गाड़ी भी उसके घर तक नहीं जाती है, तो मुझे करीब 1-1.5 किलोमीटर तक वॉक करना पड़ा था. और जब मैं उसके घर पहुंचा, मेरे साथ ऑफकोर्स एक शिशु सारथी से कोई हेल्प करने के लिए आया था बिकॉज उनको सुनाई नहीं देता, दिखाई नहीं देता, बोल नहीं पाता है. तो उनको टच करके सब कुछ एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ रहा था कि एक फ़ोटो खींचने के लिए आया है. तो उसने सब काम जो वो घर पे करता है वो करके दिखाया कि वो सेविंग कर रहा, खेत पे जा कर के काम कर रहा, रस्सी बनाता है खुद से और हाट में जा कर के बेचता है, जो वीकली उनका हाट होता है उससे उसकी अर्निंग आती है. तो जब मैं रिटर्न आ रहा था, ही सेड कि मेरे छोटे भाई की शादी हो गई है, मेरी शादी नहीं हो रही है, मुझे लड़की नहीं मिल रहा है. सो ही सेड कि मैं एक दुकान खोलना चाहता हूँ, तो शायद दुकान खोलूँगा तो उससे मुझे
पार्टनर मिल जाएगा,
लड़की मिल जाएगी.
ठीक है.
तो मेरे अंदर एक मैं जितना अलग अलग जगहों पे जाता था और मेरे लिए भी कभी कभी थोड़ा सा एक डिप्रेशन वाली बात होती थी क्योंकि मैं ऐसे घरों में जाता था जहाँ पे वो खाने की चीज़ें भी नहीं है एंड बट मेरे लिए वो खाना बना करके रखते थे. तो मेरे लिए कभी कभी बड़ा वो होता था कि मैं उनको कुछ पैसा भी ऑफर नहीं कर सकता हूँ बिकॉज वो इंडियन ट्रेडिशन के हिसाब से थोड़ा डिसरिस्पेक्ट हो जाएगा.
बिल्कुल,
कि
बिल्कुल.
खाना खा करके पैसा दे रहा हूँ मैं.
दे रहे हैं, हाँ.
तो वो प्यार सबने किया है. तो मैं सारे स्टेट, ऑल 28 स्टेट और 8 यूनियन टेरेटरी ट्रैवल किया हूँ.
हाँ.
और जो वेबसाइट है एवरीवन इज गुड एट समथिंग के नाम से हमने उसमें 200 से ज़्यादा स्टोरी पब्लिश किया है.
And अहम बात ये है, yes, the amazing thing is that people who read his stories, someone or the other calls him up and says, I'd like to help out. So the intent is not just to have stories and have an exhibition or a website that's different from something else. It's not that you're going after a USP, but you're doing it to be able to create awareness and get someone to reach out and help. And I think that's fantastic, Vicky.
यस मैम.
Yeah?
सो करीब 30-35 ऐसे स्टोरी है जिनका स्टोरी लोगों ने पढ़ के मुझे कॉल किया कि हे विक्की, मैंने इसकी स्टोरी पढ़ा और मैं इसको सपोर्ट करना चाहता हूँ. तो मैं उनको डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट कर देता हूँ. ऐसा भी नहीं कि आप किसी NGO के थ्रू आप ये करो, तो डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट कर देने से उनको थोड़ा ज़्यादा बेनिफिट मिलता है.
Thank you.
और थोड़ा ट्रांसपेरेंट रहता है उससे.
And great, the fact that it's a volunteer work, fabulous. Thank you.
थैंक यू मैम.
I'm going to move to Dr. Deepa Malik. I think we're all familiar with her. A silver medalist, Paralympic silver medalist, who's won several national gold medals also. So, Deepa, you actually, it was because of a spinal tumor and a series of, well, surgeries that went wrong, that from being an able bodied person, you found yourself in a wheelchair, right? And your story has been one of tremendous spirit, courage, and an unput downable attitude. In fact, you have a book, which I think you're going to be signing, called Bring It On. I love the title. Really. Bring it on. Deepa, I want you to share with us, you must have gone through despair because this was 99. The Kargil war was on. It was a twin ordeal you were going through. And then to come out of it, and that's when you started training for the Olympics, right? All I'll urge is that we're a little short of time. I need you to be able to tell this in about 5 minutes.
We just heard Vicky and his stories about rural areas, and which probably we think can happen. But here I was from an urban background, studied in convent schools, surrounded by people who are educated. First time I got paralyzed, I was 5 years old. The first tumor surgery happened when I was 7 years old. I started walking again after very rigorous rehab after about 2 years. I walked, I got married, I was a sportswoman, I won beauty contests, I did a lot of biking. In fact, it's right here outside the Clark Ame Road. In those days of Jaipur, this is my hometown, that I used to ride bikes and often get scolded for it. So this outdoor Deepa gets married to an outdoor loving person. Her daughter is born. She meets with an accident at 14 months, gets paralyzed.
Your daughter?
Yes, my elder daughter.
Wow.
20 years go by and nothing changes about disability. When I was young, I was a girl child, bedridden for so many years. All one would hear, and I could hear that through my mother's tears, that ladki hai, it's a girl child, just pray that God takes her away, because staying in this body which is paralyzed till the time I really started walking again. So that is the kind of, reactions we would get. 20 years went by, my daughter gets paralyzed and they say the same thing.
Wow.
The world has reached the moon, we are talking nuclear power, but when it comes to talking about a girl child or a person with disability, it is, the life is going to be a drag, the life is going to be very challenging. It's always as if it's a dead end. And then few years later, my tumors come back and I get chest below totally paralyzed, which was exactly 25 years ago. And my children call it my Phoenix birthday because I survived that surgery. I survived complications. I survived a coma. And I started learning the new body and wanting to live in this body so that I could nurture my daughters. I could be a mother, a homemaker, celebrate life. But again, the same allegations of being a financial liability, a mother who's gonna not be able to bring up her daughters. A woman, because I have no bladder and bowel control, will die in her own urine and feces. So many allegations. And I think even that triggered the rebel in me. And that's why I wear on my legs, I wear stronger every day, though I have no sensation below the chest level. But that's because I chose to celebrate life. And I targeted every medium, whether it was riding a bike again and making a world record, whether it was crossing River Yamuna against the current, practicing with just my shoulders, making a world record,
Amazing.
Whether it was becoming the first woman car rallist and do the highest motorable roads just with my arms, or winning
Fantastic.
the first Asian Para Games medal, the first woman to win the World Championship medal, and the first ever woman to win a Paralympic medal at the age of 46 years.
That's fantastic.
So,
Deepa, really amazing.
So So this mediums of being a rallyist, a sportswoman, was my way of shouting out loud, breaking the barriers and changing the mindset and saying that I am not wheelchair bound, I am wheelchair liberated.
Right, right.
And I
Amazing.
wanted to add the word fashion, travel, enjoyment, outdoors, parties, travel, sports, fitness, adventure, and celebrating life to the word wheelchair, which I call my wheelchair.
Fantastic. What a story. And I mean, it really is a Phoenix birthday.
And today, my daughter, we are the only mother daughter duo who have played together internationally, won medals for the country.
And what sport do you play?
I started with swimming, and I did javelin, discus, and shot put. And my daughter is the national record holder for 100 and 200 meters in T37 categories. Raise your hand, Devika. She's right there.
Ah. Fabulous, fabulous. Many, many congratulations.
It's a story of a mother bringing up a daughter. And both of us, and Shombi sir is right here, we both have been awarded Women Transforming India Award from the United Nations.
Amazing.
And gratitude to sir for that.
Fabulous. Thank you, Deepa. And just very quickly, what is written on your T-shirt?
It says,
celebrating 25 years of wheelchair.
Because this is the silver jubilee year of my new life, where I have learned to find the silver linings in all the clouds of adversities.
Wow. A big round of applause to both of you, really. Thank you, thank you. Mr. D.R. Mehta, I think, needs no introduction, right? Jaipur Foot, he's the founder of Jaipur Foot. And in 75, Mehta ji, you had a traumatic accident where you almost were going to be amputated. And then, yeah? Were you amputated? No, they threatened to amputate you. Hua nahi?
First of all, doctors wrote me off.
Wrote you off.
I survived. Then they said they would have to amputate my leg.
Right.
They saved it.
They saved it.
That brought me in this field.
Right. And then you realized how traumatic it was to just lie in hospital, and that sense of helplessness. And what if, right? Agar this is amputated, what happens? And then your journey in, sort of trying to create all the, the kind of limbs required, what we call Jaipur Foot. At that point, you started, I think, it was a small number, about
No,
6.
let me clarify. Jaipur Foot was innovated in SMS Medical College.
Right, right.
But all subsequent developments, refinement, this, that, were under the aegis of Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti, my organization.
So can you just hold it closer? Right.
Point I'm making is, Jaipur Foot was evolved or innovated. It's an Indian innovation in SMS Medical College. A master craftsman first thought of it. Some doctors got together, and finally in '68, this Jaipur Foot came out.
Right.
I set up this society in '75, and for the reasons you mentioned.
Right.
It's out of a personal trauma, on a hospital bed. Otherwise, what a civil servant has to do with disabilities.
Right, right.
So anyway, it's one of my greatest privileges of life. And all subsequent developments, for example, change of some changes in design, change of material, then for knee joint, we have tie-up with MIT, USA.
Right.
And that joint they made, that's called Jaipur knee.
The Jaipur knee, okay.
Knee needed for patients losing limbs above knee.
So that you have much more flexibility and movement.
Time magazine USA, not Indian journal,
Right.
not very sympathetic to India, described Jaipur knee in 2009 as one of the 50 best inventions of the world for the year 2009.
Wow, 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 wow.
And would you believe, the cost is just $20. That's the cost to us, not to the patient. I'll explain that later.
You give it free to everyone, sir.
I'll come to that.
Right.
Cost to us is $20 of that Jaipur knee. I'm just giving one example. Would you believe Time magazine says a comparable knee joint needed for above knee patients in the US, similar kind of a thing, cost $10,000. We are 500 times cheaper. And by now, we already provided 30,000 such joints to the people.
So
Then
first,
MIT, another great institution. I went there, I asked how many Nobel laureates you have. They said 100.
Right.
India by now has 8. That great institution. Their professor came. I did not invite him. He came and he said, we would like to have a tie-up with you. You know, some undercurrent of rivalry between Stanford and MIT, 2 great institutions in the world.
right.
Both are tied up with us. And they are now developing a new foot and also new joint.
A new foot.
New foot.
And how would that be different from the
The
existing?
professor is coming in February with 10 prototypes, and we'll try them. So all subsequent development, that's the point I'm making, have been under the aegis of Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayata Samiti. And limb is so good. Let me explain a bit. Jaipur Jaipur foot enables a below knee amputee after getting the limb. Foot or limb, you know, they are used synonymally. Enables a person to walk on the undulated ground, kneel, run, climb, swim. He's just like a normal human being.
So what is the process? So if an amputee comes in to see you, then it's a patient-centric approach. That's what I was actually
I'll
checking.
submit. I am a bureaucrat,
Right.
ex-bureaucrat,
Okay.
steeped in bureaucracy. But after joining this organization, setting this, first thing I don't allow is bureaucracy.
You don't allow it to be?
I don't allow bureaucracy in our organization.
Wonderful. Okay.
I'll tell you how. A patient, he's not well educated. If you ask him to take prior appointment,
Okay.
very difficult. I mean, we don't even understand these simple things.
So it's an OPD.
So we said,
System, okay.
no appointment need, just
Right.
walk in.
Just walk in. Okay.
Now, people come, and our system is so good. System is so good that we can fit the limb in 1 or 2 days. Would you believe? In Delhi, if you want to get a limb, it would take 3 weeks. Want a limb in Mumbai, 3 weeks. If you want to limb in America, few months. Now we went to Afghanistan and Iraq. We had a discussion with them. They said we'll get Western design, fine. How many disabled you have? 50,000. If they take 1 month to make a limb for 50,000 people, how would you get the limbs? Even in a century, these people would never get the limb. So time taken is also a very important factor, which we have tackled and which we have succeeded in doing.
So they would get their limb in about 2-3 days?
Just no, most of the
walks
people
in
who
and
come
walks
in the
out with
morning
it.
get the limb, and by evening they go
That's
out.
amazing. That's amazing.
Above knee patients,
That's amazing.
they might take a little more time.
But sir, sorry.
So my submission is, for above knee patient, it might take 2 days,
Right.
unless there's a complication. So these processes have helped the patients enormously. They don't have to fill any form. Now ask a patient to fill a form having 17 columns. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So our people would fill the form. All that he has to do is, while leaving, he has to sign a paper saying that I got the limb and this limb was given free to me. Now one point you raised about whether we are giving it free. From day one we decided we are talking about inclusiveness. In India, 95% of the disabled are below the poverty line.
Right.
And even middle class people don't have enough money. A limb in Delhi, foreign companies 2-3, they charge 2 to 3 lakhs rupees.
So where do you get your support from? Where does...
Pardon? I'm coming to that. Now, how do you expect a person to get the limb if the cost is 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs? In America, would you believe? You check up the figures. They are astounding and they might sound as if I'm talking out of my brain. In America, a limb, comparable limb cost $10,000. I have a Pakistani-American friend, vice chairman of some major bank of the world. He lost his limb, he's a friend. He came here India twice. I said, Ibrahim, tell me, whose limb is better? Your limb is better. I said, what's your cost? How much did you pay? My company paid it, but how much? $70,000 above knee limb. $70,000. So prices range from 10,000 to maybe 100,000. Supposing you have a limb developed, which enables you to go to Mount Everest.
So I need to just interrupt.
Just let me, highlighting a point. Mount Everest, costing $100,000. How many people get advantage? Point I'm making is, these innovations in the social sector
Right.
must have social relevance.
Yeah,
That's the submission I'm making.
I just want to, since you were talking about data, I think this is the right place to bring in Shombi. Shombi Sharp is the UN representative in India.
Well, one more point I'll make.
So we'll come back to it. We're
Sorry,
running short of time.
But
I'm
here I
sorry.
would like to
Yeah.
No,
draw
people would
everyone's
be interested.
attention. The cost that sir is explaining, you can imagine how difficult the road to becoming a Paralympian would be when you are looking for the assistive aids, the prosthetic legs, the right kind of active wheelchairs. That's the cost. So I make an appeal, and this is a beautiful setup. Thank you, ma'am, for making it inclusive. Lit Fest Jaipur is from where the message to the society starts. It
Thank
carries
you.
that reputation.
Thank you.
And here I make an appeal, please follow para sports because these are the basic challenges we are facing every day.
I just want to bring in actually Shombi sir here about Mehta ji, ek minute. He hasn't spoken at all and we're running short of time. I will come back to you, I promise. You've been actually bringing a lot of data and the UN, this is the UN Commission for the UN Statistical Commission has been talking about the significant gap in the data collection, right? And the fact that you need to also include what you call citizen-generated data, right? So that we have, so I just want to ask you that the data that's out there, does it not actually cover the entire magnitude of what we're looking at? You know, what is this gap that we need to be aware of?
Right. Thank you. Puneeta, I just wanted to say that really it's an incredible honor to be here on this superstar panel. And aap sabhi ko UN family ki taraf se mera namaskar to everybody here, because really, these are the people that are really trailblazing, that are really doing incredible work. Our job, my job, is to just from behind the scenes kind of do whatever we possibly can to support. And this is obviously, disability inclusion is first and foremost a human rights story. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, agreed by the world's leaders, India included, was the very first 21st century treaty, holistic treaty on recognizing the importance, vital importance of disability inclusion for human rights first and foremost. But beyond that, and I think as Mahatma Gandhi, who we were remembering yesterday, was far ahead of the times in saying that unity in diversity is both the beauty and the challenge of our time. And I think that was what really the world was reacting to, that kind of foresight at that moment in time, because it's about the flourishing of all of society. And so the data is very, very clear. Whether you're a nation, whether you're a firm, whether you're a community, whether you're a household, the evidence is clear that the more inclusive you are, the more successful you are. You have higher growth, you have better insights, foresights, and there are so many knock-on positive effects of disability inclusion. So that's why we have the UN Disability Inclusion Strategy, global strategy. We practice what we preach. We, on the ground here, first of all, we say, well, we can't be working with governments on policies and things if we don't implement that. So we have fully accessible infrastructure in our offices. We do, audits to make sure that, and it's not just for physical disabilities, but also intellectual and all of the panoply of different individual people with individual realities. And inclusive recruitment as well is all very, very important. So just to say, in terms of the data, this is, India is, I can say, I think confidently, in my view, the most important country in the world in terms of delivering the heavy lifting for the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. If the degree to which India achieves, the world will achieve. It's about scale and numbers and what we see here. And this inclusion story is absolutely vital to that. And that's why I think having data for development is so critical. We know globally, on average, there are about 15% of persons in populations who are understood to be with persons with disabilities. Here in India, the latest sort of official macro data is looking more like 2-point-something%. So we know that's not the real picture. And there are a lot of efforts government is putting forth, the Ministry of Social Justice is putting forth additional efforts, citizen-generated data with the Ministry of Statistics that we're working on to get a better understanding of the real picture so that we can invest accurately. Because look, India has 2/3 of India's cities are yet to be built. So if India gets smart cities right, inclusive cities right, this can be an amazing example for the world and how to build forward sustainably and with inclusion. Assistive technologies. India has incredible capacities in terms of innovation and technology. This is a whole new world. And we're working with IIT Delhi, we're working with different Indian institutions to help potentially make India a hub for assistive technology. And this means jobs, this means export potential, and this means fully realized lives agency for persons with disability. And I've had a lot of personal experiences I'd love to share about, but I know we're short of time. So if there's more opportunity, I'll share them. But let me just stop there for now.
Give us a very short, if you could sum it up in a minute, yeah.
Sure. So when you see this in action, disability inclusion, it's incredible. And that's where, the panelists here have done a million times more, certainly, than I have. But when I met a young artist with Down syndrome, Aishwarya Rap, I offered to present to me a painting. I thought, okay, sure, that sounds nice. Sure, come and present this painting. Such a beautiful piece of work that it hangs in my office now, and everybody who comes in my office sees this and hears the story about her because she's incredible. But that talent would not have been discovered otherwise, right? Devanshi, a young woman with Down syndrome who is living a fully independent life, working in a retail shop in a mall in Delhi, getting around herself. Again, if you didn't see these stories, if you didn't see the photos, for example, in Vicky's book, if you didn't hear, Deepa's stories, if you didn't go to Jaipur Foot and see people literally able to run out of the facility when they were coming in, without a leg, this is the power. We need to normalize, and we need to make this, take the issues from invisibility to visibility, and that's really what we're doing here.
Wonderful. I think we've got about 5 minutes left before Q&As. Totally 7 minutes, including Q&A? Okay. I'm just very quickly going to give each one a minute. Deepa, what changed in you? I think I know what the answer is, but I want it in your words. The shift from, before you became wheelchair liberated, the kind of person you were then, and who you are now, right? And I'm going to just implore in a minute.
Yeah, in a minute, I will summarize in form of my couplets, the poetry that I write.
Lovely, okay.
जब मैं अपने आप को अपंग समझती थी, when I used to find myself a disabled person, I used to write poetries like, यह मेरे शब्द नहीं जो कविता है कहते, यह मेरे शब्द नहीं जो कविता है कहते, आंसू हैं जो कलम की नोक से हैं बहते.
Wow.
लेकिन today, when I have been able to become that building block of my nation building, give back to the society through my NGO Wheeling Happiness, and also contribute several medals to the tally of my country, change the policies. Today I write, ईश्वर पे अगर भरोसा है, ईश्वर पे अगर भरोसा है, तो जो किस्मत में लिखा है वो पाओगे, लेकिन खुद पे अगर भरोसा है तो ईश्वर भी वो लिखेगा जो तुम चाहोगे.
Lovely. Thank you, Deepa. Fabulous. Vicky, what changed you through your journey, meeting all these amazing people? I mean, who actually were struggling when you met them, right?
Yes.
In different levels of empowerment, right? आपके अंदर क्या बदला?
सो मेरे अंदर जो एक बदलाव आया, मुझे और थोड़ा अच्छा ह्यूमन बीइंग बना दिया, और उसके साथ साथ मेरे जर्नी में जो लोग मिलते गए वो मैं थोड़ा सा जस्ट क्विक एक्सप्लेन कर दे रहा हूँ कि जैसे मैं ये काम कर रहा था मुझे पता नहीं था कि क्या होगा, एंड देन सडनली 2023 में यूएन ने मेरा एग्जीबिशन स्पॉन्सर किया.
हाँ.
एंड उस एग्जीबिशन के बाद में जब मेरी ये बुक आई तो मैं न्यूयॉर्क में था, और शॉम्बी उस टाइम पे न्यूयॉर्क में था, एंड शॉम्बी मुझे यूएन हेड ऑफिस लेके गया कि अपने साथ में लेकर के गया. तो द सपोर्ट की यूनिसेफ हेड ऑफिस एंड यूएन हेड ऑफिस, एंड जा करके वहाँ के जो डिसेबिलिटी डिपार्टमेंट है उनसे इंट्रोड्यूस किया कि यू नो कि विक्की ने ये काम किया है. तो उससे एक कॉन्फिडेंस आया कि कि मैं जो भी कर रहा हूँ मतलब रिटर्न बैक दे रहा हूँ सोसाइटी को अपने फोटोग्राफी के थ्रू, बिकॉज पैसा मेरे पास है नहीं. तो वो एक अच्छा डाउन टू अर्थ इंसान बनने में मुझे हेल्प कर रहा.
Lovely, wonderful. Mehta ji, I'm back to you. Is there something you want to say? I want to ask you, your
आप
journey.
पहले पूछ लीजिए.
हाँ, ये पूछना था कि आपके अंदर मतलब 40 साल हो चुके हैं. How have you changed as a human being?
देखिए, सबसे बड़ा चेंज तो ये आया कि मैं अच्छा इंसान बन गया.
पहले भी अच्छे ही होते होंगे आप.
शायद ज़्यादा अच्छा बन गया, ये कह लीजिए. एक आनंद ही आनंद है.
आनंद ही आनंद.
एक आदमी आया बिल्कुल रेंगता हुआ, बिल्कुल मायूस, पैर लगा, एकदम मुस्कान. उसको तो मुस्कान आई, उसको अच्छा लगा, हमें कितना अच्छा लगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
मुझे कहा कि इतना आनंद है आपको, तो एक तो वो दो चीज़ें मैं आपको कहूँगा, नहीं तो अधूरी रह जाएगी कहानी, कि भगवान महावीर विकलांग सहायता ने अब तक 23 लाख लोगों को हिंदुस्तान में रिहेबिलिटेट कर दिया.
वंडरफुल वंडरफुल.
एक दूसरा 50,000 लोगों को विदेशों में कर दिया. 114 कैंप लगाए विदेशों में. हमारी टीम जाती है, वहीं टेम्पररी वर्कशॉप लगाती है और वहीं पैर लगाती है. और 44 कंट्रीज कवर कर ली. कौन सी? अफगानिस्तान 5 बार मैं गया, पाकिस्तान 2 बार गया, सीरिया, इराक, ईरान, सब डेंजरस कंट्रीज. हमारी बड़ी इज्जत है वहाँ. हमें किसको डर है? अभी मैं 20 महीने पहले पैलेस्टाइन गया, 450 पैर लगाए. आप बिलीव नहीं कर सकते हमारी कितनी इज्जत है. और हमारी छोड़िए, हिंदुस्तान की कितनी इज्जत है. पीपल रिकॉग्नाइज दिस एज सॉफ्ट पावर ऑफ इंडिया.
एब्सोल्युटली.
एक और निवेदन करूंगा. पाकिस्तान में गया, एक कहानी सुना दूँ आपको. तो एक सज्जन आए, हम दुकान में गए.
सर यहाँ पकड़ लिए, सुनाई नहीं देगा उनको इतना. नहीं, आप होल्ड इट क्लोज टू यू.
अच्छा.
हाँ हाँ
मैं दुकान में गया,
हाँ.
और आपको टीवी पे देखा था.
हाँ.
जूते खरीदे, टैग दिया. क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? आप हमारे पाकिस्तान के भाईजानों के मुफ्त में टांगे लगा रहे हो और आपसे जूतों के पैसे ले लें.
वाह
इतना चीज है.
वाह वाह.
तो आप कह रहे हो ना,
यस.
ब्रिज बिल्डिंग जो है, दिल जोड़ने के, तो ये काम. तो अभी हमारी बात चल रही है अफगानिस्तान. 2 बार मिनिस्ट्री से बात हो गई. दे आर विलिंग टू सेंड अस टू अफगानिस्तान राइट नाउ.
Sir, if I may, so you're an institution for us. You really are.
हम कुछ नहीं है.
किसी को बोल दो
अरे
जयपुर फुट, एकदम पता चलता
मुझे
है.
एक आदमी ने कहा, वो स्पिरिचुअल आदमी है, पैसा कौन देता है, कौन लेता है? आप क्या हो? आप तो माध्यम हो. गीता वाला याद रखना कि निष्काम भाव से काम करो. बाकी अगर अपना नाम कर दिया तो सारा मेरिट भी गई काम की.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Shombi, we were talking earlier and we were sort of going over the fact that all of us are somewhere on the autism spectrum. And you mentioned to me, you said, you know what? Sometime in our lives, we're going to get disabled some way or the other, right? Yeah? In fact, I have started wearing shoes to, which my husband hates. He calls them my frog feet, but it keeps me comfortable. Shombi, I just wanted to ask you, in terms of the sensitization, right, of I call ourselves the common person, or those who are not disabled, right? How can we actually get there? Okay, time's up. Okay, 2 minutes left. Okay. Quickly, I mean, what is a message for us to become more aware, more sensitized towards the disabled people, our brothers and sisters, actually, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Stella Young, who's a sort of well-known Australian activist, person with disability, said that disability is not the problem. And the term we use is disability. It's an imperfect term. It's not the problem. It's the barriers to inclusion that are the problem. And so I think all of us, each of us, can do something, right? Everyone is good at something, as Vicky says.
Yeah.
And everybody can lean in on this issue and just learn more and engage wherever is possible. I always like to say, "Sate to sambhav hai." So if together we are, because, and again, understanding, yes, some people are born with disabilities. Some people acquire disabilities at certain points in their lives. As populations age, as climate change comes, to a degree, almost everybody will face something, right? So if disability inclusion is normalized in society, invested in, that's a benefit for absolutely everybody. And just my favorite example of kind of really engaging, and probably the most fun I think I've had in my life, is joining the Indian National Women's Olympic wheelchair basketball team. I play basketball. They invited me to come. And they said, don't just stand there.
Come and play.
Get in a chair and let's play. And it was the most fun, amazing human connection. And I was so impressed with their skills. And that changed me radically.
Amazing.
So I challenge everybody
Thank
to get
you.
engaged.
Thank you so much.